Let's now cross live to the Chris Hani commemorations in Boksburg, where our reporter Yulisa Njamela is standing by. A very good morning to you, Yulisa. Can you tell us and paint us maybe a picture of what is currently happening there at the Thomas and Corsi Memorial Park in Boksburg, where you are?
Well, Elvis, good morning. I can tell you that the sun is up indeed. It was a cold morning this morning. A whole lot of officials, politicians and other leaders have gathered here from since early this morning. You'll remember, of course, that there's supposed to be a ceremony that was performed this morning. The President Jacob Zuma, has not arrived. We understand that as soon as he arrives, the program will get underway. It was supposed to start a few minutes ago at 10 o'clock, but it continues, the commemoration of the stalwart, the legend, Chris Hani. So as we continue with the broadcast as well, I'll be comparing this with my colleague, none other than the legendary broadcaster, Noxolo Grootboom. But first, before we get to the comparing time together, let's get the story from her, because of course most South Africans will remember that she was there on that fateful day. She was one of the first people on the scene, but not only that, she would go on to actually be part of the broadcast of the legendary Chris Hani. So we take the story through and we hear what she will tell us about what happened. Where we start, thank you so much, by the way, for being here, so that we can bring the program to the viewers in South Africa at large. On the day of the broadcast, you had gone through having witnessed the child running and holding her father, trying to figure out, is my father dead, is my father not dead? But subsequent to that, the broadcaster asked you to be part of the broadcast. What did you go through?
You know, my initial response was, I cannot do this. I am so close to the story, and emotionally, I doubt if I'll be able to carry the task through as expected of me. But well, as you know, they said, job, usmali. I had to do it. And it was one of the worst times of my life, you know, to try and be professional. And yet at the same time, you know that you are hurting inside, you know. The memories of that fateful day are still fresh on your mind, and yet you have to be composed and console millions and millions of South Africans. You know, I remember that day, F&B was full to capacity. And amongst the things that Tatu Mandela told the people on that day was that from the F&B stadium, only the family comes to this cemetery. But guess what? When we got to this cemetery, it was like F&B all over again. There were so many people. But then to arrive here and to realize that, you know what, there is no turning back. This is real. This is reality. Chris Hani is no more. Any minute now, he will be going down. That was the saddest of all.
It's fascinating for me that for all the times I've had the opportunity to chat with you about your memories, not even a single time do you not have tears in your eyes. How then did you manage, or did you manage at all to go through the broadcast without even shedding a tear?
I cried. I cried, but thank God, when we were doing that broadcast, there were no cameras on us, you know, so I was able, you know, to let out my emotions without spoiling the broadcast. Crying, yes, I cried. When the coffin was brought into the stadium, I cried. When I saw the MK soldiers, I cried. When I saw Dimpo and the children, I wailed. But I never stopped doing what I was asked to do. The broadcast went on.
A lesson to young people, of course, wanting to be journalists or broadcasters in their lives. But for the benefit of those who do not understand or were not there on that particular day, who do not, unlike you, get goosebumps each time that story is told, can you take us through, especially on that day, from the time Nomalizo, the child, the daughter, Nomakwezi rather, the daughter runs through the streets of Boksburg crying out and telling everybody that her father has just been shot?
You know, when you're taking me back to that time, you don't want me to co-present this broadcast with you, because there isn't a moment when I speak about that moment without actually shedding a tear. It is worse now because I've just seen Udimpo, and we just looked at each other, and we hugged, and we kissed, and we kissed. And she just said, here we are. You know, it's like it's happening again. And I glanced at Chris Hani's grave. You know, Nomakwezi is lying next to him. And all memories of that day just came rushing. You know, I could hear Nomakwezi crying all over again. You know, I could see myself running to her all over again. I could still hear the gunshots, you know, all over again. I could still see myself, you know, being dragged by Nomakwezi towards Chris Hani's body. I could see myself trying to take Nomakwezi off his father's body. I could see myself trying to console an inconsolable child. You know, I could see myself with Nomakwezi right in my bedroom. She didn't even know where she was. You know, so it is very difficult for me, Yolisa, to speak about that day without shedding a tear.
What has this left you with? Bitterness? A case of we have survived the worst as a country, or on a personal level? What has it left you with?
It is a mixture of the bitter and the sweet. You know, in the sense that, Yolisa, what the perpetrators thought were going to gain by killing Chris Hani, thanks to Madiba, it never happened. South Africa was not plunged into war. Instead, Chris Hani's death drew us closer to what he, Chris Hani, fought and struggled for: freedom for all South Africans. Freedom for all South Africans, not just blacks, but freedom for all. And that was done peacefully, because during his last days, you will remember, Chris was preaching nothing. The soldier, the communist, was preaching nothing but peace.
Noxolo Grootboom, we could go on and on with this interview and the chat, because it's quite fascinating. While I have had many chats with you till today, I'm sure many more years we still find this day rather a painful day to look back to. I'm going to let her go wipe her tears away, because this is a really sad story for her to tell, because she was the first person. But we will be comparing and bringing this broadcast to you together from here at this cemetery. It is indeed an absolute pleasure to be with you, and an honor to be bringing this broadcast to South Africans at large.
Making me cry.
There you go. We take it back to you for now, Elvis. We'll be bringing you this broadcast throughout the day. For as long as the program is on, we'll be bringing you all of it.
Thank you, Yolisa. That was our reporter on the scene, Yolisa and Jamela.